Hello and welcome to Change Management Made Easy, a video series providing best practice advice for getting change management right. This is brought to you by Change Proud, a change management training and resources platform. In this episode, we're going to show you how to do stakeholder management. Okay, so we're really focusing on stakeholder management here. And in order to do stakeholder management, you need to complete your stakeholder assessment and your mapping. For more detail on stakeholder assessment, please look at video 9, where we'll go into that in more detail so you can really understand it. But if you don't look at that video and you just want to skip straight to a kind of quicker way of getting your stakeholder assessment and management piece done, you can just begin by immediately mapping your stakeholders onto this grid. So you need to identify who the stakeholders are, so the people who have influence or impact on your change project or program, and then you want to map them into the grid like this. So if you look at the axes here, what we're looking at is impact and influence. So impact on the bottom and influence going up the left here. So the influence stakeholders have on the success of the program and the impact the program has on them. So with each of your stakeholder individuals or groups, you want to plot them on this grid. Each of the quadrants of the grid then tells you what you need to be doing in terms of how you manage that stakeholder individual or group, from either just keeping them informed and satisfied of what's going on in the change program, right through to really actively engaging them. So for example, if they're going to have really strong influence over the success of the program, and it's going to, have an impact on them as well, and they need to be engaged by it, then you really need to be actively engaging, informing them, keeping them engaged with what's going on. So your stakeholder assessment map is a really key step when managing stakeholders so you can understand what your response needs to be. Once you've mapped your stakeholders onto a grid, you can then draw out a plan in terms of what you're going to actually do to manage them on an ongoing basis. So in the column right over to the right of this table here, you can see engagement approach. So for each group of stakeholders or individual, once you've understood whether they've got a high, medium or low level of impact and influence, you can then think about and devise your plan for managing them. So for example, senior stakeholders who are going to have a lot of impact and are going to want to know what's going on in the program, whether return on investment's being made, the value, etc. They're going to be kept informed of what's going on through regular checkpoints, regular governance, that type of thing. Versus, say, for example, employees, it might have a big impact on them. So actually they want communications that make them feel really engaged in terms of how this is going to impact their day-to-day role. But, they're not really interested in the broader aspects of the program, investment, money that's being spent, etc. That's, not of relevance for them. So you want to think about the different engagement approach depending on the level of impact and influence. And that's really then how you draw out your management plan. Also, just going to call out here that relationship owner column. So this isn't always going to be relevant depending on the size of your project. But if you've got lots of stakeholders that need looking after and a big team, then you might want to kind of man mark people. So, particularly if you're talking about change that's got a scope across different geographies. So you might have, somebody who looks after the key stakeholder group in Europe, for example, who's giving them the updates they need on a monthly basis versus someone who's always reporting into the CEO. Not everyone's going to be doing that in the project, so it's going to need to be someone really key who's got that relationship. So you want to think about where relationships lie within your change team or your program team, and how you're going to potentially man mark your different stakeholders or groups according to what their needs are and according to where you sit in the business and who would be most appropriate to manage them. If you found this video helpful, for more easy to use and accessible change management training and resources and templates, please visit Change Proud. Thank you for watching.